The average American makes around $2 million in his entire lifetime. But did you know that Jeff Bezos makes that much money in less than 15 minutes? And he's not even like the richest person in the world. By the time you're done watching this video, he's going to make more money than you will in your entire life. It's really mind-blowing that it takes one person an entire year to make $100,000, but another person can make that much money in a single month, or probably sometimes in a single day. And these are not like the richest people in the world, such as Bezos or Gates. When you see people make that much money, it literally just destroys your self-esteem, especially if you are making anything less than $100,000. I mean, how is that even possible? Your brain cannot comprehend that. I mean, anything that you have never done in the past is impossible for your brain to digest. I mean, logically, you understand that it's possible because there are plenty of people who have done it. But because you have never done it, your brain cannot connect the dots on how to go from $70,000 to $1 million or $10 million. And nobody can tell you for a fact how to do it because the road is so complicated that unless you do it yourself, you will never understand it. Everyone who has made that much money did it after mastering the skills that I'm about to share with you. So listen carefully because you are about to learn the skills that will help you to get to financial freedom. You might not be making like $10 million the next morning, but going to $10,000 per month is entirely possible in just few short months. The richest man of the 20th century has built his empire by exploiting the most valuable resource of his time, which was oil. And that resource is still driving our world today. However, the most valuable resource of the 21st century is attention. All of the companies that are making most of the money are the companies who could successfully attract as much attention as possible. Meta, TikTok, Snapchat. The longer you spend on time on their platform, the more money these companies are making. I mean, it's really great for all of these companies, but it's destroying your attention span. Since the 2000s, since the dot-com revolution, the average attention span has decreased by 25%. People have lost their abilities to focus. They can't just sit down and work for at least 30 minutes. How are you supposed to do anything meaningful when you can't just focus for at least 30 minutes? You probably have heard about the 10,000 hour rule, where if you spend 10,000 hours on mastering any craft, you will just be a master of that craft. But have you realized that people often spend way more than 10,000 hours on their job and yet they're still bad at it? Because there is a difference between actually putting 10,000 hours of focused work and sitting around in front of your computer and pretending to work. These are two completely different things. Every time you get distracted, every time you check your social media while you're working, your brain needs at least 15 minutes to refocus back. So think about what happens when you get distracted every 5 to 10 minutes. You're never doing any meaningful work. But when you actually learn how to do focused work and you literally spend like 10,000 hours doing that craft, practicing your craft, there is something different happens in your brain. Your brain moves to a completely different level. You start thinking differently. You start comprehending everything differently. And that's when your brain starts connecting the dots on how to go from $70,000 to $1 million or $10 million. So the main question is, how do you fix your focus? There are plenty of information on how to fix your focus on the internet, and I have tried a lot of what is suggested out there. So here's your non-BS guide on how to improve your focus. The number one factor that will influence your ability to focus is the quality of sleep you had at night. If you did not have, let's say, at least 6 hours of quality sleep at night, it doesn't really matter how hard you try. Your brain simply does not have that capability to focus. That is why make sure that you at least get 6 to 7 hours of quality sleep. And for some people, it might be even 8 hours. Secondly, your diet plays an important role in your ability to focus. When you have a full stomach, it's extremely difficult to focus because it will influence your emotions, it will influence your mood. So the best way to deal with it is that fill your stomach by probably like 60 or 70% at best. Make sure that at the end of the day, you're a little bit hungry. You feel that hunger in your stomach. Thirdly, your attention is like a muscle, just like any other muscle on your body, just like your legs, your biceps. So in order to improve it, you have to train it. So if you haven't been improving your focus for a really long time, It's extremely difficult to sit out there and do focus work for an hour or 2 hours. Start with something small. Start with 10 minutes. Put a timer for 10 minutes and make sure that within these 10 minutes, you're only going to do focus work. I don't really care what happens. I don't care who calls you. I don't care what notification you get. I don't care how much you wanna check your Instagram. Within these 10 minutes, you're going to do focus work, and that's it. And when you get used to 10 minutes, for example, you move to 15 minutes, and then you can try 20 minutes and then 30 minutes. And that's how you keep improving your focus. Just like you don't expect your biceps to grow overnight when you start going to the gym. I mean, you understand that one exercise isn't gonna help you. You have to go to the gym every single day or at least 3 times a week for probably a few months to see any meaningful progress. So don't expect your focus to improve overnight. Try this strategy once, try it twice, try it for a month, try it for 2 months, and then in a few months, you will definitely see some real results. And if you wanna be in shape all the time, then you have to turn going to the gym into a lifestyle where you will hit the gym all the time, at least 3 times a week, no matter what happens. So if you want your focus to be sharp all the time, if you don't want to lose your ability to stay focused, then you have to make sure that you are doing focused work at least an hour a day. And here is something that people don't understand about staying focused. I don't really care who you are. I don't care how disciplined you are. You simply cannot stay focused for more than like 6, 7, or probably 8 hours in a single day because your brain needs to be recharged, which means that you have to go and have good quality of sleep. So make sure that you don't work for more than 6 or 7 hours in a single day. Make sure that these 6, 7 hours are where you're not getting distracted at all. And when you learn how to do that, you'll be amazed by how much you can accomplish in a single day. When you learn how to actually do focus work for at least like 6 or 7 hours in a single day, you'll be amazed by how productive you will get. You will be able to accomplish more in a single day than now you do in an entire month. When something negative happens, people for some reason keep thinking about it long after it's over. You know, days have passed after that event, and yet you're still thinking about it. It's somewhere there in the back of your head, distracting you from everything else that you are doing. You can't focus, you can't think clearly, you can't be productive, because that thing in the back of your head is swallowing your entire attention. You start making bad decisions one after another. You start wasting your time. Mentally, you're still stuck somewhere back there at that moment. And every time something reminds you of that, you start rethinking about it again and experiencing those negative emotions. So, what I'm supposed to do? Rich people learn how to forget things. Forgetting doesn't mean that it never happened. Yes, it happened, but you learn how to switch your attention where it doesn't constantly drives your attention from your main work. Some people are naturally good at that, where they can simply switch their attention and forget it like it never happened at all. But for other people, it's really difficult. However, you have to understand that you cannot just keep going back, because time isn't waiting for you. Time is going on. You're wasting your life. You're wasting your time. You have to teach your brain to forget about all of those negative things that happen and never repeat those mistakes again. And even if you repeat those mistakes, make sure that mentally you aren't stuck there. You're moving on. Here's another life hack that I have learned over the years. Pick up your phone and go to your favorite messaging app and create a conversation with yourself and start recording voice messages, expressing your anger, whatever is there in your brain, whatever angers you, whatever frustrates you, whatever you're imagining in your brain, just split it. Express your anger as much as you can. It's exactly like writing an angry email but not sending it and going to sleep and then thinking about it the next morning. When you read that email again, you understand that it's too much and you shouldn't send that email at all. If you find yourself in a ring with someone else and that person punches you, would you actually complain about it? Absolutely not, because you were expecting that punch. It's a fight, it's a war. Both of you are in that cage. And that's how life is. So if you get mistreated, if something doesn't work out, if things don't go the way you want them to go, don't actually get it personally. Understand that you are in a war, you are in a cage, and you should be expecting those punches. So if you overthink about the last punch that you got, you will lose your focus and you will get punched again. That's why draw your lessons, forget about that punch and make sure that you don't get punched again. Secondly, we often become the victims of the spotlight effect. When something negative happens, we start thinking that everyone is thinking about that thing that happened to us. But in reality, nobody really cares. Everyone is busy with their lives. You think about that because you are overwhelmed by that problem. But the people around you don't care at all. If someone is cold to you, that doesn't mean because they know about that problem and they're thinking about it. They probably don't care. They're living their dramas, they're living their problems, they're concerned with whatever is going on in their lives. So if you don't learn how to forget things, you will constantly be living in the past and you will never be able to actually live in the moment and focus and do some meaningful work. One of the most important skills that you will ever learn in your entire life is the ability to say no. This is the skill that will save you by far most of the time. You see, we people want to get along with people, and the best way to actually get along with everyone else is just to please them. However, when you're actually pleasing them by saying yes to everything that they're proposing to you, you have to understand that you are saying no to something else. And that something else could be way more important than whatever you said yes to. The easiest way to actually say no to everyone else without actually feeling guilty, because you know that you feel that negative emotion inside you. You feel like you should have said yes. You feel guilt inside you for saying no. So the best way to avoid those emotions is to actually understand that you have a bigger yes. If you're in a mission to build a successful business, if you're in a mission to become the best writer in the world, then that is your yes, that is your mission, that's your bigger yes that's inside you. So when you're saying no to everything else, you're saying yes to your life's mission, especially when you understand a simple fact that your time is limited. So if you don't have that sense of urgency, if you don't have that yes inside you, it will be extremely difficult for you to say no to people. An athlete, for example, becomes a successful athlete by learning how to say no to everything else. He knows that he wants to be the best athlete in the world. That's why he says no to sweets. He says no to unhealthy food. He says no to wasting time and says yes to exercising and being the master of his craft. Remember, the people who have the ability to say no are the people who are strong enough to be on a more important mission in their lives. I'm not saying that you should stop helping your family. I'm not saying that you should start avoiding your friend. No, but in most of the cases, they can get away without you. Here is the easiest way to actually learn to say no to people. Let's say you have like $3,000 in your bank account and you have to pay your rent, which is exactly $3,000, and today is your last day. And your friend comes up and says that he needs your help financially. Would you really help him? Of course not, because you have a bigger yes inside you. If you don't pay your rent today, you will be homeless, which is why you won't feel bad, you won't feel guilty for saying no to him, because you have a bigger yes inside you. So when you have a bigger yes inside you, which is your life's mission, you start valuing your time as much as you value your last $3,000 that you have to pay in order to keep a roof over your head. That yes inside you could be anything from building a successful YouTube channel to building $1 million portfolio or writing the best-selling book. So take a piece of paper and write down your goals. Be as specific as you can. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Spiritually, mentally, financially, emotionally. If your goal is to have a perfect body, for example, if you're going to the gym, then it will be much easier for you to say no to unhealthy food, to soft drinks, to sweets, to whatever that could actually stop you from achieving that goal. If your goal is to be financially free, then suddenly it will be much easier for you to say no to people when they're asking for loans that they will never pay back to you. If you talk to any rich person, regardless of how they made their money, they will all tell you about the importance of investing your money. Investing is the art of knowing how to grow your wealth, how to turn $10 into $20, $100 into $1,000, $1,000 into $100,000. Regardless of how much money you're making, if you don't learn how to keep your money working for you, you will forever be trapped in a rat race where you have to trade your time for money. The idea behind it is really simple. Make as much money as you can and invest most of that money until your investments will make you more money than you do by trading your time. That's when you achieve real financial freedom. But the mistake that I often see people make is that by buying a few stocks on Robinhood or a few cryptocurrencies, they start thinking that they know how to invest. Buying a few stocks doesn't really make you a professional investor, which is why 90% of retail traders and investors often lose money. You have to sit down and teach yourself how the market works. You can pick up some great books, or you can just take some courses, or you can join the Intelligent Investing Academy, where we teach you everything you need to know about the stock market. We teach you how professionals investors are making money. You see, the foundation of all investments are the same, whether we are talking about real estate or stocks or bonds. You have to buy assets that generate cash without your involvement, without you actually managing it directly. So before going deep into any of those investments, make sure that you understand the basics rule. Make sure that you understand how everything works. You can of course start with real estate, but real estate is too difficult for people because it's super expensive. And going to real estate without actually taking a mortgage is really impossible, because you will need years to save that much money to at least buy one property. And if you actually use mortgage to invest in real estate, then you will lock yourself into a financial responsibility that is not easy to get out, especially if you understand that you've made a mistake. You can go to bonds, for example, but bonds don't really make that much money. Or you can go into crypto. But the problem with crypto is that, yes, there are a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, it's extremely risky. And it's really difficult to understand which coin is going to shoot and which ones will go bankrupt. Remember what happened in 2022 when the Fed raised the rates and most of these cryptocurrencies literally were destroyed? So the best option that I would usually recommend to people is that start with the stock market, because stocks represent real companies, companies that you can analyze, companies that have to report their financial statements, companies that you will understand will they grow or not based on their real performance. And you can get into the stock market with as little as $5 or maybe less than that. So learn the foundation of all investments, and then learn how to analyze stocks, read financial statements, analyze their financial statements, understand which stocks will rise and which ones will fall, how professional investors are investing, how billionaires in Wall Street are making so much money from the stock market. When you learn the ins and outs of the stock market, you will be able to spot all of these opportunities that will make you a fortune. Almost 50% of Americans report that they feel lonely, but there is a huge difference between feeling lonely and being alone. While it's normal to feel lonely time to time, most people don't know how to enjoy being alone. When you haven't developed the skills, you will always feel a need to be around other people, even though it's not always in your best interest, around your friends that are not always wishing the best for you. Because emotionally, you depend on these people. Your decisions will be influenced by all of these people. It's definitely also one of the reasons why we're so active on social media, because we feel lonely. We cannot just stay alone and enjoy being with ourselves, which is why we pull out our phone and start checking what our friends are doing, what our family are doing. The moment we're left alone with our thoughts, depression starts kicking in. But every rich person that I know literally just enjoys being alone. They don't need people around them, and that needlessness that attracts other people to them, because they don't need anyone around them anyways. Most people settle for an average life. Most people just settle for the average paycheck. However, that's not the case with rich people. Rich people understand that time is limited. So if they want more than other people, then they have to work more than other people. So instead of hanging out with their friends, they deny themselves all of these pleasures and focus on working more than everyone else. So over time, what happens is that they will simply have less things in common with other people, and that's why they will have less friends over time anyways. And it's really difficult to be friends with other rich people, because other rich people are just like you. They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about their dreams. They're thinking about their goals. So they're busy building their empires. One of the interesting things that we all do every single day without realizing is that we're all selling. If you're in a job interview, for example, you're selling yourself, you're selling your skills, you want to get that job. And it's not enough just to get that job. You want to get that job with the maximum amount of salary. So the better you sell yourself, the higher the salary that you will get. If you're talking with friends, if you're debating something, you're selling your ideas. If you're raising money for your business, you're selling that business to investors. So life is eventually all about selling. The better you sell, the more money you're going to make. the more successful you're going to be. But for some reason, some people have this negative perception about selling. Some people think that selling is something negative, like you put yourself down when you do something like that. When global economy literally depends on selling. The better we sell, the faster the economy is going to grow and the more money everyone is going to make. If you have a good product and you're a good salesman, it's literally a matter of time before you make millions of dollars. Sometimes the only reason that someone is rich is just because they're really good at selling. Some people spend years saving money to start a business, and other people are so good at selling that they can raise that money in a glimpse of an eye. There are plenty of books that can actually teach you about sales, but my favorite book when it comes to sales is Influenced by Robert Cialdini. It's literally one of the best books that you will ever read. Another book that I usually recommend to people is that 48 Laws of Power. It's not exactly about selling, it's about more understanding people and how to deal with people. But the better you understand people, the more likely that you will persuade them. The best way to learn sales is to actually go out there and get a job as a salesman. And if you get a job in a good company, they will more likely send you to a training session. They will literally train you to become a salesperson. But the important thing is that don't get stuck in that job. Spend some time there, practice your skills, improve your skills, go to all of these trainings, and once you become a good salesman, then you can leave that company and start something on your own. However, the best salespeople of the 21st century are the people who understand social media, the people who can actually set up marketing campaigns on Facebook or Instagram where they can actually turn massive sales, where they can actually turn ads into real profits. I mean, anyone can just go to Facebook and buy ads, but the people who can actually turn these ads into real profits, into real revenue, these are the best salespeople of our time. As I was scrolling through YouTube recently, I came across a video that titled How Mike Tyson Lost $600 million. The only question that came to my mind was, I mean, how on earth do we make that much money? How do you make $600 million and then you lose all of it? And he is not alone. There are plenty of people who made that much money and lost it. Take a look at Johnny Depp, one of the best actors out there. This guy made more money than Mike Tyson, and yet he's broke now. The list of athletes and actors who made it to the top and then went bankrupt is really long. And the only reason they end up all broke is that they all lack financial education. They don't spend time learning about money. They don't spend time learning about investing. They don't spend time learning how to manage their money. So it's not enough to actually make a lot of money. And Mike Tyson perfectly summarized the reason why he lost all of his money.
Broke background. I never really learned the art of handling money as a kid.
Financial education often seems a pretty boring subject. I mean, it's a waste of time and a waste of money. I mean, why would you teach yourself about money when you actually know everything about money? Because that's how people think. People think that if I'm making money and I'm spending money, then I know how money works. Financial education means that you know how investing works. You know how to budget. You know how to discipline yourself. You know how to not spend more than you should. You know how to save money. So it doesn't really matter how much money you're making. If you don't learn financial education, you will end up just like Mike Tyson, the greatest boxer of all time who made over $600 million and yet went bankrupt. Yes, teaching yourself about money, disciplining yourself, budgeting is really boring, but the alternative is way worse. Everybody wants to enjoy life. Everybody wants to live in the moment. Yes, that is great if you're talking about present, if you're talking about focusing on taking the best advantage out of your time now. But when it comes to financial decisions, you should always look ahead. You should always plan years ahead, probably your entire life. Every entrepreneur, every rich person that I have ever met always plans, they always budget, even though they make way more money than the average middle class. So take the time to teach yourself about money. Take the time to teach yourself about the stock market. Take the time to educate yourself financially. And that's how you achieve your financial freedom.